you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Nobody ever tells me anything, so I'm going to try and tell you everything I know. Good afternoon, everybody. Good evening, wherever you might be from. I'm Tyler Falk. I'm the host of the program, otherwise known as NETMA. Glad to have you all along for the ride here on this Tuesday. Week 1 is in the books, and hopefully you all enjoyed a fantastic opening week to Season 18 of the Simulation Football League. Got a lot of stuff going on. And let's just get right to it. I made some predictions on Friday. Some of them turned out right. Some of them turned out wrong. Let's go ahead and just get right to it, shall we? We start out with game number 1, that being the defending champion Baltimore Vultures taking on London. They defeat Baltimore, Baltimore takes on London. Baltimore defeats London by the way of a score of 41-28. And perfect timing is all I can say. I was on the stats game for the next game that we're going to discuss, but just before that game kicked off, we were looking in chat, we were looking at the game, just minding our own business, and who should appear in chat but none other than Johnny Pickler and say the following phrase. You guys want a shootout? The very same play Johnny Pickler throws a pick. That's all I'm going to say. Perfect timing, not calling it karma, not calling it, what it should, what some people would, but I'm just saying that's perfect timing. Baltimore would go on to score, I think, all 41 of their points in quick succession. Perfectly unanswered. It was 14-0 at one point, London, and then this Baltimore comes out and says, yeah, we're the defending champs. You guys aren't. We're going to go ahead and take the victory. I had Baltimore winning this one on the way of spread over on Friday. That being a score for the spread of 6.5 in favor of Baltimore. Baltimore with the victory over London. I'm 1-0 so far in week 1. Moving on now to the second game, and oh, so close. If you guys know a commentator by the name of Martin Brundle, if you guys ever watch F1, Martin Brundle will often say, if two F1 cars get close together, they'll say, oh, so close. And, well, oh, so close for Brechet and the Predators just barely missing a very long field goal that would have tied the game back up and would have sent the game to overtime. Unfortunately for the Predators, they fall in week 1 to Los Angeles, and it was a very good game. It was a very good game for Los Angeles and Charleston. And a lot of people were saying, especially all the Charleston fans, they were saying, I'm a little upset that you put Charleston way back in 17 in your predictions. And it's games like this. It's games like this for Charleston. They're going to come back to bite them. Charleston, they are a good team. Their defense is really good. Charleston's. Their offense, they took a step back from season 16 to season 17. I think they just I think they're starting off on the wrong foot. Charleston has a lot more to prove. Los Angeles, though, they love playing in these tight ball games as well. They love playing, especially last season, they love playing in games that would either be decided by less than 7 points or even tighter than that. So Los Angeles gets one to go their way in week number 2. Game number 3, that is, Arizona and Tulsa, and deafening destruction for Arizona and Tulsa. Tulsa at the end of the game. I know it's a simulation. I know the fans in the stands, most of them aren't real, but the fans in the stands were absolutely silent at the end of that football game. Let me tell you. So Arizona just put a whooping on Tulsa, 37 at one point before the backups came in the fourth quarter. DJ Moses had a great game. Ashley Jackson had a fantastic game. I don't think she threw a single pick, if I remember correctly. I think she played a real clean game. The offensive line kept her protected I believe for the most part. Arizona, well done, 1-0. Eddie Gage will be happy. His 12-0 prediction is going right as he would like it. All right, number 4, it works. A 2-star back system works in the SFL, at least for week 1 for Louisiana, as they trounce Sioux Falls 34-12. Sioux Falls, again, looking like they need a lot of help. They lost Hart, they lost Lewis, lost a few other pieces in free agency in the offseason. Sioux Falls needs some help. For Louisiana, it's week 1. Just like a whole bunch of these teams coming out in week 1, you cannot take for granted a week 1 victory, because now teams have tape on you. Now teams know what they're going to expect from you coming out. They know what to game plan for, know what formations that Squarebush might be in. I'm thinking another game down the road, game that caught my attention, but they kind of figure out where Squarebush may or may not be in terms of game planning. So that's going to be something to look forward to and something to game plan for on the offense for Louisiana. Can they keep this pace up? Again, Sioux Falls over the past couple seasons, not one of the better teams. It's good to get a tune-up game for Louisiana going, and to finish the season, or to start the season, I should say, 1-0. As far as my predictions go, I kind of glossed over that for the last couple of games, but for Los Angeles Charleston, I picked Charleston to cover. They did by 3, so that one goes in my way, 2-0. And then I picked Arizona to beat Tulsa more than 7.5 points, and so I'm 3-0. However, I picked Sioux Falls to cover the spread, 10.5. That does not go my way. 3-1 now stands the record. All right, moving on to game number 4, a complete team, and I mean this about both teams. Vancouver, not known to have a kicker. They go out and grab a kicker, go out and fill up the roster with the new expansion of 23 player contracted players on rosters, and I think it's working for Vancouver. I think Annie Hamilton has a lot more weapons to play with, and they played really well. A team that really surprised me this week, Carolina. They look really solid. That running game, over 200 rushing yards in week 1 against Vancouver. We know Vancouver's rushing defense can be, iffy at some points, but for them to put up over 200 rushing yards on Vancouver, that is no small feat. Carolina did a very solid job. That'll be something to look forward to for Carolina. Unfortunately, they do fall to Vancouver, but keep an eye on Carolina this season. Maybe they got something cooking. I picked, let's see, who did I pick? I picked Vancouver to win by 6.5. They only win by 5, so unfortunately for me, Carolina covers the spread, and I'm 3-2. Not looking good for my predictions so far, at least here in the later stages of Saturday's games, as we move on to the final final game of week 1 on Saturday. Highs and lows for both St. Louis and Las Vegas. We start with the highs. St. Louis controlled the first quarter. It was all St. Louis in the first quarter. Quarters 2 and until 000s hit in quarter 3, it was all Las Vegas. It was a 17-0 lead for St. Louis. And then through quarters 2 and 3, Las Vegas scores all 27 of their points. And then here comes St. Louis. It just didn't seem like either team wanted to play a complete game. They either wanted to show up right in the middle or show up at either half. St. Louis gets the victory, 31-27, the final in that one on that Saturday night contest. I predicted St. Louis to win by 3.5, and well, I got him. I got 3.5. That's 4 points right there for St. Louis, and so my predictions go 4-2 as we close out Saturday's slate of action for the SFL Week 1. Moving on to game number 7, and just outplayed San Diego with their, well, the first game they beat, and well, sorry for Eddie Gage and company, they beat Arizona back last season to get their first franchise win, but I think this is their biggest win of their young franchise history. They outplayed outplayed Florida, especially on defense. San Diego's defense was cooking. And then I noticed Optimus Klein had something to say about his offense. He said it's great to have an offense. Gunnar Lewis certainly helped out Liam Hammer. Gunnar Lewis picked up 2 touchdowns. Liam Hammer picked up a touchdown. And San Diego played very well. I was thoroughly impressed with the changes they have made, especially from the offensive standpoint. The defense played out of their skin against the runner-ups from a season ago. Again, just week 1. Teams now know what you guys bring to the table, San Diego. So just keep up the hard work. And for Florida, well, hopefully you guys just got caught out of position against San Diego, and hopefully you guys come back strong in week 2, because it didn't look like, for the most part of that football game, the offense decided to get going, and that's a little worrisome, especially for Charlie Boletsky and company. And I picked San Diego to cover the spread, and they did more than cover the spread, that 7.5 point spread. So thankfully, there goes San Diego and picks up correct pick number 5 for me on the day. Second game of the Monday set of action. So yesterday, that's why there was no show yesterday, because of SFL action. There will be no shows when the SFL has games going. So I know we have a couple Monday weeks, or a couple weeks where there'll be Monday games, and a couple weeks, maybe 1 week, possibly 1 or 2 weeks that might have Friday games. So expect there to be no Friday shows, but to be no Monday shows when those occur. On to DC and Houston. Not today. Houston escapes a narrow one, and this time they get one of those narrow results they didn't get in season 17 and even season 16 to go their way here in season 18, or at least week 1. And DC's didn't get to catch a whole lot of this game, of course, calling the San Diego, Florida game. But what I saw from the replay is that DC offense is able to be consistent. I mentioned in my first round of power rankings, or at least the top 10, that DC made it in the top 10 of those power rankings. Is, they're no nonsense. They don't like to fool around too much, and the offense showed that, in my opinion. Houston just needs to game plan for week 2, I think, because DC just got the better of them. I picked DC to win this game by 3.5 was the spread provided by Jack's Data. They beat the spread, so make that a 5-2 pick record. So far so good for Now You Know segment. All right, on to my my best bet of the week. The game I thought that I was most certain was going to go one team's way. Unfortunately, it goes, I thought I changed that around. There we go. That's the correct game we're looking for. They never left. Jacksonville, 34-27. They defeat Portland, and my first best bet of the SFL regular season is, just spat it right in my face. I went wrong to go against Jack's Data's ball club in Jacksonville, and, they never left. I think they just stepped aside back in season 17. They brought a couple pieces in after losing a good amount of their defensive core. Season 17 lost Hunter Norwood and a few, I think 1 or 2 others in the offseason coming into this week. And Jacksonville, they defeat Portland 34-27. And my first best bet goes for not. Jacksonville with a much deserved win, in my opinion. They come back at the end of that football game to surpass Portland with some timely defense. Really good job from Portland. They pick up victory number 1 on the season. Portland, they had no statement wins last season, and hopefully this one doesn't come back to bite them, because if Jacksonville doesn't end up, being a above 500 team, this will be a win that they'll want to have back. All right, moving on to Atlanta now. Atlanta and Denver. 2 bad bounces is how I'm calling it. Atlanta and Denver. 1 bounce at the end of the first half. Denver tried to go all in on the Hail Mary to Riley Quintero, and we get the first ever footception. If you got that at the end, I threw a little clip into the NETMA server, link to which is down below, where you can go check out the footception off of Riley Quintero's right foot. Kind of pixelated, but I think it's off his foot, and it's picked off in the end zone at the end of the first half, and then somewhere midway through toward the end of the third quarter. Let's see, not Squarebush. Why am I thinking Squarebush? It's not Beletsky, not Squarebush. That's on a postcard. I'm blanking on Eric Price and Quintero. Running back for Denver, fumbles the ball, and Aquana Shine gets the recovery at the edge of out of bounds marker, edge of the sideline. What looked to be a bang play. Ethan Muslin on the call couldn't decipher it a whole lot, but eventually it was found out that Aquana Shine did recover the fumble, and most people were probably looking at the end of the game, frankly, and be looking at the time management for Denver. And I think that's just one of those things that comes and goes. They were down inside the red zone, decide to kick a field goal. Thank you, Swarm and chat. Shaughnessy, running back for Denver. He's the one who fumbled, but they go ahead and kick a field goal instead of maybe trying to punch it in for 6, and they waste so much time getting set up for that field goal. They waste their chance. They do recover the onside kick, but there was no time remaining. A very shock scenario for the Denver faithful at home, especially. I picked Denver to cover the spread. Atlanta favored by 7.5, and I get pick correct number 7 on the week. Make that 7-3 overall for the week as Denver covers the spread. Okay, final 2 games of week 1. Let's go ahead and get to game number 11, that being Mexico City and Fort Worth. And Fort Worth, you gotta let sleeping Aztecs lie. You had Mexico City up by 15. I think it was 35-20 at one point. And Mexico City comes back to tie the football game, not once, but twice, to force it into overtime. They kick a game-winning field goal with a minute left in the first overtime period. And Mexico City, you cannot count them out. You cannot count out Mexico City. It was a fantastic performance, especially at the end of the game. The defense didn't bother showing up until the end of the game. The offenses were left to their own devices for, I think, the first 3 quarters. No defense made interception until, I think, roughly the 7-minute mark in the fourth quarter, if memory serves me right. But 2 explosive bounces. I almost named this portion, are the fireworks okay? Because the cannons were almost constantly going off for Fort Worth with how many points they scored. This was a very welcome surprise for Fort Worth's offense, who was one of the worst in terms of points per game last season. They end up with 38 all told in the defeat to Mexico City. Unfortunately for them, Mexico City take win number 1. And they hand me another L in terms of pick'ems because in Friday's episode, I got the spreads wrong. I had Fort Worth by 7.5. It should have been Mexico City by 7.5. Fort Worth covers the spread. I had Mexico City picked. Therefore, I lose on pick'ems. And so record for week 1, 7-4, as we move into the final game on the slate, and 2-10 strikes again. I picked Lone Star to go 2-10, and only for them to only maybe take Houston and Fort Worth the distance. Well, they come out and absolutely dismantle Queen City. Bo Martin Jr. has some heat with him. I'm sure a lot more of the Lone Star faithful have a little bit more heat with me, but played from Ace Fennick. A very nice ball game from the third-year quarterback in Lone Star. He puts Queen City and myself both on blast and hands me loss number 5 in pick'ems. So overall this week, I'm 7-5 going out of week 1. But I think overall, there wasn't a dud of a game in week 1. Overall, the SFL had a fine outing. And I think nothing more needs to be said because week 1's in the books. We'll talk more and more as we go about the week, about week 2, where everybody stands tomorrow. I welcome on Coach Brian Craven to discuss, what he thinks of Louisiana and the rest of the league going out of week 1 into week 2, and some thoughts on coaching and a couple other things. And hope to see you there tomorrow. Same place, same time, right back here on NETMA. And hopefully you'll join us then. Until then, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, and good night, ladies and gentlemen.